There's some 8 minutes left in the slot.
Thank you very much. I'm surprised. Could I just start by first of all saying that this is probably the most unequal and unjust budget that I have seen in all my time in here. And that said, we know the reasons for it. I mean, taking €8 off a widow under 66, which I've never understood anyway. My own sister was widowed at 34 and left with 6 children. Why wasn't she entitled to the household packages when she needed them far more than anyone who had their family reared? And I don't begrudge social welfare to anyone. It's so little and so difficult to live on it. You know, there's a saying in Cork that you never see the poor at sales, and you don't. And the reason you don't see the poor at sales is because they don't have the money. They don't have that spare money that the rest of us can go and get the bargain with, because their money is accounted for. The €8 which has been removed from their income this week is the €8 out of the 20 that's put away every week in relation to gas and electricity. That's where that €8 is coming from. And there will be cutbacks. They won't be outside the gate. They will cut back on food, they will cut back on heating, they will cut back on clothing, and they will cut back on the little luxuries, little as they were, that they had. But what I really want to say is I want to talk about that group of people that somehow is not mentioned at all. And when we see legislation that says in the national interest, it's as if this whole entire group of people were not part of the nation and didn't figure in the national interest, and they don't. And that's the group of people that I come from. That's where I grew up, that's where I lived, that's where I still visit every weekend of my life. And it's the working class. And the working class have been convinced since the foundation of this state that somehow they are not as worthy. They are less worthy. And they've been convinced of it. And they will take their €8 hit. And somehow they will be grateful for what little they will get. Because this state, this nationalist state, not this republic, this nationalist state has convinced an entire group of people whom they call upon when times are good to go and work and sustain the economy. And when times are bad, it is your fate to be unemployed and then to be treated like this by the government. And somehow or other, they have been convinced by the state that they are not worthy. And they are the same people whose schools don't get the same type of resources that you get in other areas. They are the same people whose children don't get the education that they deserve and that they need. And they are the same people who are convinced that this is their lot in life. I came in here and I listened to Deputy White today tell us about equality. And Deputy White has fallen into the same middle-class trap in relation to equality that everyone else falls into. Equality is not just about gender. Equality is about class, and equality is about finance, and equality is about education, and it's about health. And if she does produce a bill that tells us that we'll have more women elected in here, I will be the first to come out and congratulate her, because my only aim in life to have more women in positions of power is so that we can deal with the deep inequalities that exist in Irish life. The deep-set inequalities, to convince people in areas of this country where there is true deprivation that they are worthy and they should try to get a better deal for themselves, and they should demand a better deal for themselves. So when there's €8 taken off of a blind pension, or when there's €8 taken off of someone that cares, and by the way, the carers allowance, which is an amazing anomaly within the social welfare system, it is the only social welfare payment where the conditions are that you will work for it. And you will work 7 days a week.
24 hours.
24 hours a day. It is an anomaly within the social welfare system. But the deep inequality that exists in this country is about convincing working class people that they are as good as anyone else and they shouldn't take the type of treatment that this government has meted out to them. They are not just there to go to work when times are good to sustain this economy. They are worth far more than that. Far more than that. Their children are as good as anyone else's children. And this government doesn't recognise that, and it's because there is an elite in this country that is a privileged elite. It's not even an elite that has great money. It just has privilege. It has access and it has privilege. Privilege that the people that I know and live with and grew up with will never have. And they're in awe of it. And you know, I take Connolly's words, you know, the great only appear great because you're on your knees. Get up. Thank you.
Gramagat,